Right. How you doing, my man? You doing good?
Feeling good. We made it to Friday of the first week of free agency, so getting ready for the weekend and a lot of signings, a lot of moves the Dolphins made. Most of them just more on the smaller side, smaller scale moves. But yeah, obviously we already talked about Malik Willis, but then just bringing guys onto the roster, filling out the roster.
Well, you were there yesterday for the press conference. What'd you think of how he handled everything? It looked to me like he said all the right things. It's not like you can really pick at anything he said.
Yeah, and I think he really showed his humility. He wasn't making any grand predictions or promises or trying to sell that. Oh yeah, he is the guy. He knows it's his time now, and all this talk which would have just been talk at this point in time. So he said, I'm not going to do all that. Basically, it's going to be his play that does the talking, and he's just saying, look, I mean, can I tell you for sure if I'm going to be the man? I don't know that. I'm just here to work and do my thing. So yeah, I like how humble he is. He admitted that he wasn't prepared in the past. So sometimes you don't learn that until you're in it. So that was kind of the harsh reality for Malik Willis early in his career was
obvious
from Liberty. Yeah, which we all knew. Yeah, of course. But I mean, it takes a lot for someone to admit that. He said it, and then I think he's grown over his time in Green Bay, where he also obviously had a lot of great things to say about working with Sully and Half, and how it wasn't only obviously what they came away impressed with in him from seeing him, but also, as a free agent, he has a say in the matter. So clearly he was impressed with the way they work to see a vision of maybe what could become here in Miami.
I'm with you. Listen, I'm hoping for the best. I hope he has to be the guy. Like I've said, either he's a star or this is a stupid move. Period. End of story. If you didn't find a franchise quarterback in him, it becomes a stupid move, because if he just becomes Matt Moore or Ryan Fitzpatrick or any of these scrubby quarterbacks that you've had in time that helped you win a couple of games, that's not really what this is all about right now. So if you were set to win one game this year and now he helped you win three, and he doesn't turn into the franchise guy, then this move means nothing whatsoever. So that's kind of the way I look at it. If Sully signed him, he signed him because he really believes that guy's going to turn into the franchise quarterback for the Miami Dolphins.
I see it more as it's a chance of being that. I'm okay with him just being it's taking a shot at finding that guy, because you're not always going to hit on every single shot you take, but you take a shot here, find a guy before you start playing your first few games, and then if it doesn't work out, then you're probably going to be picking one of the best quarterbacks in the 2027 draft. You're not that financially constraint to him. You're going to be still paying dead money to Tua this year and next year, and then by then that's also when the Malik Willis contract has an out from year 2 to year 3. So you're really not too tied. It's not like you used a first round pick and it's going to be like the 4 years of his rookie contract where you're really trying to see what you have, and if you find out early, then you're regretting wasting a first round pick. For the top paid quarterback of this free agency class, it's a very manageable move financially.
You're in one place and I'm in the. I don't give a shit about the money, dude. The money, that means nothing to me at all. You're completely in a different place. The Raiders won 3 games to have the number 1 pick. Okay, so let's just say this team is good enough to win 3 games, but Malik Willis gets you to 5. How is that? And then in the end, you find out he's not the guy, but he Brissetted your ass. He Fitzpatrick you won 2 extra games. Where does that become productive that you end up losing the number 1 pick, which, by the way, could lead you to your real quarterback, or you could trade that number 1 pick instead of being a number 5 or 7. You could trade that number 1 now for a whole bunch of picks if that's what you want to do. So you lose out on all of that. If he's not the star and he only helped you win a couple of extra games, where's the productivity to that?
Well, you still don't know if Quinn Ewers running the offense could have won you a few games more than what you expect. There's so many different ways it could work out. And then you don't know if down the road, the quarterback that everyone thinks, that all the draft pundits think it should be the number one pick next year, he ends up being a bust. And then it's the guy who was actually picked 6th, 7th, 8th, whatever, like Patrick Mahomes wasn't the number one pick. Josh Allen wasn't the number one pick. Joe Burrow was, but he's been injured a lot too, and the Bengals haven't gotten back to that Super Bowl.
You keep answering a question with an if. If he helped you win a couple of extra games and he's not the guy, was it really productive?
You end up with a lower draft pick, but you took a chance on trying to find a guy. You took a shot,
okay,
which I think you constantly should be doing.
Okay.
If you put all your eggs in one basket.
I just want to make sure, because if all of you are accepting this, then I don't want to hear any shots taken at all. Oh, you see, you ruined it by playing him, and then you could have had the number one, because that's how people like to play both sides. So you are not allowed to take any shots. Okay. At the end of the year, if he's a failure and he only won you a couple of extra games, you cannot say that John Eric Sullivan failed at all. You have to say, hey, fans, he took a shot. You had a chance at Arch Manning, and he's headed for an all-pro career or something a year or 2, 3 years from now. And this whole scenario, you cannot second guess John Eric Sullivan now. You know that, right?
All right,
I'm just saying.
I'll be at peace with that because I can admit when I'm wrong. I also look, because I'm going to tell you
I'm going to call out any of the local mofos that do that shit. I'm going to slam them all.
I won't do that. I won't do that.
I know, but I'm just saying ahead of time. If I see somebody play that bullshit, I'm going to slam your ass publicly, and I'm going to trash your ass really good. I mean, really good.
Take notes now.
Yeah, damn right it's fair, because I hate that shit. You don't put your neck out on the line, and then after, when it's convenient, you then want to go out and put your neck out on the line, and that's not how it goes, because it's too easy after the fact to say stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that's where it's not fair, because I know that that's what's going to happen here if he does, win you a couple games and he doesn't turn out to be, oh, you see, they swung and missed. And by the way, if they swing on miss in Malik Willis, here's the part 2 to that. Does that start to put a little doubt that, we have another guy that can't find a quarterback? Because, by the way, if Malik Willis swings and misses, this is like Skylar Thompson Part B. You do know that, right? Because they were around him. He can't fail. You were around him for 2 years. So, that whole line that a lot of people, nobody knows him better. They were around them for 2 years. Well, so what happens if he's not the franchise guy and you were around him for 2 years? Does that become a little bit more of an indictment? Just your thoughts on that.
It will be a little bit if that scenario plays out that way. But you still don't know how he conducts himself in that starter role. So, he wasn't that in Tennessee even. You brought him on because you saw the raw potential from his athletic traits in Green Bay. He was part of that front office that did so. And so you've seen him in the framework of, being the scout team quarterback in practice. A few games, a small sample size of action in game where you liked what you saw from him. So you haven't seen him be the guy over the course of a season, handle the ups and downs of a whole NFL season. So yeah, from that standpoint, they don't have that information yet. So you are still projecting somewhere kind of like in between of how familiar you would be with a high drafted quarterback, where it's all projection and you don't really have that information from being in there with him, and then being extremely familiar. So it's somewhere in between there on that spectrum where, you've got some of the information, but not all of it.
All right. Clearly he doesn't have enough around him. Okay. If you want him to succeed, he's not going to succeed with what he has around him. So what does this team need to do for the rest of free agency, which I don't think it's much because they're not going to do much in free agency, but especially the draft? What would you do to help Malik Willis succeed in the draft?
Yeah, I think he'll need another receiver, bigger body, preferably. So you already have your Jalen Waddle, and I mean maybe Theo Weiss can develop some more, but you still need someone more.
You mean they didn't add a big receiver in Tutu Atwell at all? They added another Oompa Loompa? Okay. All right.
Tutu Atwell is not of the bigger bodied receiver variety, but another speedster. So and South Florida kid, which I do love. I always love it when the South Florida kids come home. I'm a little biased, I'll admit to that. So
but I love your point. I love your point. A big receiver, please. Yeah. Let's
they need that. Yeah.
He's a short quarterback, dude. He's 6'1". He's a short quarterback. He still can't see over the line. He needs passing lanes. So stop with the Oompa Loompas already. And Tutu Atwell's fine, whatever. At this point, I get in free agent, but you have the point, dude.
Yeah, for a cheap signing, sure. I love
that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. But your point is the real point.
Yes.
You better go find the guy some big possession guys, please.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, Jalen Waddle's going to be your wide receiver one. You're going to be able to throw the ball to Devon Achane a lot out of the backfield. So you've got speed, like electric speed. I mean, at quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. Atwell's another blazer. Malik Washington is a small slot guy. Maybe Theo Weiss can develop some more and go into year two and just build on those flashes that he showed. And he would be a bigger bodied guy. But you'll need someone else to compete with him. Probably a couple other guys so that you really have, like the same way you're taking a shot at quarterback. Like you can just have a lot of players where you're taking a chance to see what they can give you as far as a bigger bodied receiver. So build up on that. That would be the main thing, obviously, along with the offensive line, which they made their first signing today, Jamari Salyer. I like him. A charged offensive line that didn't pass protect well. He was actually one, according to Pro Football Focus, who graded well in pass protection, actually above average compared to league average. So probably going to be a cheap signing. I don't know the money on it, but good to at least get someone who can pass protect some, especially when you lost Cole Strange, who had a good season, to the Chargers. You get one of their guys, and maybe he could take that next step and be a consistent starter where he was kind of filling in spot duty the past couple of years. As you look to also build with Patrick Paul, Aaron Brewer, you're bringing Austin Jackson back, and you need some depth on the line as well as you try to also develop Jonas Avainaya.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Let's hope that they got a draft, man. They got to draft offensive linemen and build it up and build a big ass wall in front of the damn quarterback and give him time so he can find guys and all that stuff.
With those five picks in the first 90, I would love if it's like you get a solid edge rusher, a corner, a wide receiver who's a bigger, long-armed type of guy, an offensive lineman, and then whatever else best player available. If in those first five, in the first 3 rounds, you get you fill those 4 spots and plus something else, then that'd be awesome. That'd be a great start to building through the draft for this new regime.
You get excited about any of the free agent scrubbies they signed?
I do low key like Josh Uche, and not just because it is another homecoming. You needed an edge rusher for sure, and I think he can. We've seen it before from him. It was a few years ago now, but he had an 11.5 sack season. So you've seen that he's capable of doing that. It's not like he's old and washed now. He's still 27, so it's not like that's just entirely in his past. And he was still winning pass rushes at a high rate in limited opportunities. But like last year, he was with the Eagles, and it's hard to find playing time. On that
loaded.
So, yeah, exactly. So it stands to reason that he's not going to be on the field all that often to rack up a bunch of sacks. But he would win some pass rushes, a good pass rush win rate according to the metrics. So then you like to see that.
Happy for Bradley Chubb, actually. Happy for Bradley Chubb, man. He's a good dude, and he's on the back end of his career. Might as well get a shot for winning. And Dolphins aren't going to do anything for the next couple of years. But it was definitely a good fit for him to land there.
Yeah, they're looking for edge rushers. I was actually talking to someone that does Buffalo Sports Radio yesterday, and even with Bradley Chubb, then because they were asking me about him, then they're still looking to see if maybe, because they were asking me about Akeem Mesidor and if he's there, when they pick later in the first round. So they're really just looking to stack up edge rushers. So feels a need for them. If he could play like he did bouncing back from that knee injury this past season, the way he did, and he was able to stay on the field like that and produce and be a leader, where over there they might have some more of the culture and he could just fit in, as opposed to where in Miami he kind of needed, especially after they lost like Calais Campbell and Teron Armstead the year before, they needed him to really step up and be a true team leader. He could just slide in there and be just another vet that keeps that culture in the building, and the Dolphins are going to see him twice, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you there. What are you working on in the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Yeah, just got a bunch of stuff up on all the free agency news all week. So just this morning it was Jamari Sallier, whose name popped up. So got a story up on him, and yesterday wrote about the Malik Willis press conference. So a little bit stunning to hear him admit how he wasn't ready, but just breaking down what he was talking about on his first day in the Dolphins facility, and also those two other South Florida signings, Tutu Atwell, Marco Wilson, posted about them, along with all the slew of other names that the team has brought in.
Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. Make sure you catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, as always, thank you, my brother. We will catch up on Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
You got it. There we go. Welt Rheaume, they know how to get it done. The consultation is free. So if some issue happens, some damage happened to your property, you're dealing with bankruptcy, whatever it is, folks, call Welt Rheaume, call Jeff and Dan, explain your situation. Consultation's free, 954-966-4646. They have their own adjusters, so they'll go and assess any of the damage, and then they call the insurance company. Never, ever call the insurance company. It's what we're used to doing, and that's what they want us to do, because you and I are suckers. We don't know all the laws and all the rules and all the loopholes. They do. They love to take advantage of us. But Welt Rheaume, they're not going to be able to take advantage of them. Progressive, they were crushed with Welt Rheaume, okay? And I'm telling you, don't even make the mistake I did, because my wife, she kind of, runs some of that stuff. So she called it first, and she ran into a wall. And I said, why are you doing this? I told you. First, Welt Rheaume. Let them. So, boom, Welt Rheaume took over. They fired the guy that Progressive was, the guy that was representing Progressive. Welt Rheaume got him fired because they know all the laws and loopholes, and they were trying to pull some BS that they would have easily pulled on us. But these guys knew all the laws and the loopholes and crushed him in court. And when he got crushed in court with that twist, he ended up getting fired. Okay, so Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume are badasses. A lot of our listeners have called over the last 6.5 years that we've been, it's almost going to be 7 soon. We are 3 months away, dude. Anyway, 954-966-4646.